Take a deep breath.
Always a good start.
Yeah, right? Feel the chair you're sitting in. Notice the temperature of the room around you. Now, what if I told you that you, the chair, and the air you just breathed are all essentially, well, thermodynamic errors?
Oh, man.
Just localized glitches in an otherwise perfectly empty, mathematically flawless universe.
It really forces a complete reassessment of literally everything we consider real.
Totally.
Because we spend our whole lives deeply anchored to these physical sensations, right?
Right.
We assume that solidity and warmth are the baseline parameters of existence simply because, that is the environment our biology evolved to survive in.
It's the ultimate bias. We think, I am solid, the world is solid, therefore solid is normal.
Exactly.
But today, for this deep dive, we are exploring a framework that flips that assumption completely upside down. We are looking at a 2026 working paper from Zenodo. It's by researcher Maurizio Rizzari, and it's titled The Normality of the Void: Truth, Matter, and Hydrogen as Topological Defects in the Relational Coherence Theory.
I know the title is incredibly dense, but the implications here are just paradigm shifting.
They really are.
Rizzari is doing something highly unusual. He is bridging rigorous thermodynamic equations with ontology.
Which is basically the fundamental study of what it means to exist.
Right, exactly. He is challenging the core assumption that matter and energy are the primary ingredients of the cosmos.
So the mission for our deep dive today is to explore this radical new reality. We are going to examine how empty space at absolute zero is actually the real universe.
Yeah.
How physical matter is just a localized break in symmetry. And most surprisingly, how telling the truth isn't a human moral invention. It is literally a fundamental law of thermodynamics.
That's the part that really gets me.
Okay, let's unpack this, because we have to start with this massive biological prejudice we all walk around with.
Yeah, Rizzari identifies this immediately. He calls it our human cognitive and scientific prejudice.
Right.
Because you and I exist at warm biological temperatures because we experience, a linear progression of time moving from past to future.
Cause and effect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because we constantly interact with baryonic matter, we naturally construct all our physics around those specific experiences.
We can't help it.
We view empty, freezing space as merely a stage, like a lifeless container where the quote-unquote real stuff happens.
We treat space like an empty cardboard box, and the matter inside it is the actual gift.
That's a great way to put it.
Hmm.
But the Relational Coherence Theory, or RCT, alongside the relational ontology framework, completely dismantles that cardboard box.
Okay.
To understand this, we have to define what relational actually means in this context. In RCT, a thing does not possess intrinsic, isolated properties.
Meaning what, exactly?
Meaning an object only has properties based on how it interacts with or relates to other things in the system.
Wait, let me slow you down there just to make sure I'm visualizing this right.
Sure.
You're saying a single particle sitting entirely alone in the universe doesn't actually have a measurable size or charge or mass.
Correct.
Because there's nothing else around to measure it against or interact with.
That is the absolute core of relational physics. Mass, charge, spin. They are all languages of interaction. If there is no interaction, those properties essentially dissolve.
Oh, wow.
And this leads us to Rizzari's concept of the void. According to his frameworks, the fundamental, true, and normal state of reality is the void at absolute zero.
All right,
But this is not the dead, empty nothingness we usually imagine.
Right, which is exactly where I have to push back a little bit.
Yeah.
Rizzari describes this void as existing in a perfect dynamic balance within an 8-dimensional primordial relations field.
Yes.
But if it's an absolute zero void of nothingness, what exactly is dynamic? Like, what is balancing?
I get the confusion.
Yeah.
It comes from trying to picture three-dimensional physical objects floating in a vacuum.
Yeah, that's what my brain is doing.
Instead, picture a field of pure mathematical potential. The 8 dimensions in the primordial relations field aren't physical directions like up, down, left, and right.
Okay, so what are they?
They represent degrees of mathematical freedom. So, symmetries, charges, spin potentials. The dynamics refer to the fact that every single potential force in this field is perfectly canceled out by its exact opposite.
Okay, let me try an analogy here to ground this for you listening. Imagine you're standing at the edge of an infinite, perfectly calm lake.
I like this.
The temperature is exactly absolute zero. There is no wind, no current, no heat whatsoever. The surface of the water is so perfectly still and reflective that it mirrors the environment with absolute mathematical precision.
Right.
It's not that the lake doesn't exist, it's that its state is so uniformly perfect it has no distinct features or waves.
And if you push that analogy into the math, that flawless reflection is what Rizzari labels with the variable c subscript n equals 1.
Cn equals 1.
Right. The c stands for relational consistency. When consistency equals exactly 1, it means every part of the field relates perfectly to every other part.
So it's totally smooth.
Yes. There is zero friction, zero entropy, zero contradiction. All 8 mathematical dimensions are in total symmetry. Because everything cancels out perfectly, no distinct things can be perceived. It is a timeless state of maximum efficiency.
So a value of Cn equals 1 is that mirror lake before a single stone is thrown to disrupt the surface.
Exactly. And what's fascinating here is how this redefines the life cycle of the cosmos.
How so?
In traditional cosmology, we often grapple with the problem of a big bang, right? Like a spontaneous creation of everything out of nothing. And then the eventual heat death, where the universe expands until it's just cold, dead dust.
But if the natural baseline state of reality is already a freezing, perfectly symmetrical void,
Then we don't need a magical beginning or a tragic end.
wow.
The universe simply undergoes phase transitions. Just as water transitions into steam when heated and back to ice when cooled, the universe shifts from that perfect, unmanifested 8-dimensional symmetry of the field into the messy 3-dimensional reality we experience.
And eventually it goes back.
Eventually it will relax back into the void. The baseline never goes away. It just occasionally changes phases.
So if the baseline of the universe is this perfect, undisturbed, mathematically flawless lake, it forces a really uncomfortable question about us.
It really does.
Where do we come from? How do you get a solid, messy, warm human being out of a perfect, motionless void?
This is where we cross from the unmanifested into what Rizzari calls manifest reality.
Okay.
In the relational coherence theory, the physical matter, the forward arrow of time, the energy you and I interact with, none of these are the original substance of the universe.
Wait, then what are they?
They are, quite literally, a waterfall of topological defects.
A waterfall of topological defects. A defect is a glitch, a flaw.
Yeah.
So you're saying everything we consider real is just a massive compilation of errors in an otherwise perfect system.
Topologically speaking, a defect is a break in symmetry that the system cannot easily smooth out. Think of a perfectly smooth sheet of silk.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
If you pinch a section and tie a knot in it, you have created a localized region of asymmetry. The silk is still silk, but its relational consistency is broken.
Because it's bunched up.
Exactly. That knot causes tension, it gathers friction. In Rizzari's model, our physical reality is a localized region where the perfect mathematical symmetry of the void has knotted up.
Ah, I see.
The field's consistency drops below Cn equals 1, and that resulting friction manifests as energy, matter, and the flow of time.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. The paper doesn't just wave its hands and say, matter is a glitch.
Not at all.
Rizzari mathematically pinpoints the exact threshold where that 8-dimensional symmetry breaks down and crashes into our 3-dimensional reality. And he identifies that threshold as the hydrogen atom.
The mechanics behind that are crucial. Hydrogen is essentially the simplest possible asymmetry in the physical universe. It's just one proton and one electron.
Right.
Rizzari identifies it as the fundamental threshold of perception.
Meaning what?
Before hydrogen, the fluctuations in the primordial field are too symmetrical to create lasting matter. But that single proton-electron pairing creates the bare minimum amount of relational friction required to actually catch against the 8-dimensional field.
It's like the anchor that drags the math down into space-time.
Yes, exactly.
Going back to our absolute zero lake analogy, the void is the flawless water. But because it's a dynamic field, tiny fluctuations happen. Suddenly, the very first microscopic crystal of ice forms on the surface. That ice crystal is the hydrogen atom.
And the reason that ice crystal metaphor works so well is because of the concept of a metastable cascade.
A metastable cascade.
Right. One stable anomaly provides a foundation for the next. The hydrogen atom doesn't just sit there. Because it possesses that tiny bit of relational friction, it exerts gravity.
It pulls things in.
It pulls other energy toward it. It fuses in stars to create helium, carbon, oxygen.
Yeah.
That single foundational glitch initiates a massive phase transition.
So the perfectly calm lake rapidly freezes over into this jagged, chaotic, incredibly complex glacier.
And we live inside the glacier. Galaxies, black holes, the biology of the human body, the device playing this audio right now, it's all just an elaborate cascading ripple stemming from that original stable break in perfect symmetry.
We are talking topological knots.
They are a highly improbable, metastable state. Metastable meaning we appear stable to ourselves because of our really short lifespans, but on a cosmic scale, we are just a temporary, localized disruption trying to resolve itself.
Which brings us to the most profound pivot in the entire paper.
Yeah, this is the big one.
If our physical existence, our societies, and our thoughts are all taking place within this messy waterfall of glitches, how does the universe manage all this friction?
Right.
This is where Rizzari takes these abstract thermodynamic principles and maps them directly onto concepts we usually reserve for philosophy and ethics, specifically truth, error, and falsity.
And this raises an important question about how we define those words. Rizzari includes a very specific epistemological note before he dives into this mapping.
We have to pay attention to that.
He warns that we must completely detach truth, error, and falsity from their conventional moral, religious, or psychological frameworks.
Right, because usually we think of telling the truth as a virtue. Like it's a choice you make because society says it's the right thing to do.
Exactly.
Rizzari is saying, no, strip the morality away entirely. We have to view these purely as physics equations. They are thermodynamic and informational operators.
In the Relational Coherence Theory, truth is the baseline. Truth is physical reality itself in its most efficient state.
Maximum efficiency.
Yes, it represents maximum topological efficiency and relational coherence. Truth is the Cn equals one state of the void.
But wait, if truth is the absolute zero void, how can truth exist here in the manifest reality? Like inside the glacier where things are messy and CNN is definitely less than 1.
Inside manifest reality, truth operates as the natural force of relaxation. It is the underlying tendency of every single defect to naturally dissipate its entropic friction and return to the balance of the void.
Oh, I see.
You can think of truth as a gravitational pull toward harmony. It requires absolutely zero artificial energy to maintain. If a system is aligned with truth, it is naturally shedding excess heat, resolving its knots, and flowing along the path of least thermodynamic resistance.
So truth is just the natural, effortless healing of the universe's relational tissue.
Beautifully said.
Then what about error? Because, in human terms, an error is a mistake, a failure. It's something you get penalized for on a test.
The physics of error are entirely different. Rizzari insists that error is not the same thing as falsity. Error is an absolute necessity for a dynamic system.
Really?
Yeah. Error represents a natural, transient fluctuation within the primordial relations field. It's the system's topological trial and error mechanism.
So it's the universe effectively testing out different ways to smooth out a knot.
That's the mechanism, yes. Because our manifest reality is a complex cascade of anomalies, the universe has to naturally test different configurations to find the most efficient path back to baseline symmetry. Errors are those transient tests. They happen naturally. They do not require malicious intent or external manipulation. They are literally just the physics of a metastable system trying to optimize itself.
Okay, so if error is just a natural fluctuation, like dropping a pebble into our calm lake, watching the ripples spread, and then letting the water naturally calm down again.
Exactly.
Then what on earth is falsity?
Mm.
Because this was the twist in the paper that absolutely blew my mind.
Falsity is what Rizzari terms the parasitic superstructure. Falsity only occurs when a misaligned construct, a severe defect, is intentionally and artificially maintained against the natural relaxation gradient of the field.
Wait, let me make sure I'm fully wrapping my head around the physics here. Falsity isn't the mistake itself. Falsity is the literal energy a system wastes by refusing to fix the mistake.
Mathematically, falsity requires a continuous injection of external thermodynamic work. The paper denotes this with the variable Wn is greater than 0.
Work input is greater than 0.
Exactly. Because you are fighting the natural relaxation of the universe, you have to constantly pump energy into the system to keep the artificial structure from collapsing.
Let's use an analogy to ground this. Say you drop a highly buoyant plastic beach ball onto the surface of our lake.
Oh, yeah.
The ball hitting the water is an error. It's a natural fluctuation. It creates a splash. It disrupts the surface tension. It generates some friction. But if you just leave the ball alone, the water will naturally relax.
Right, the ripples fade.
Exactly. The ball will find its equilibrium and just float calmly on the surface. That natural relaxation back towards stillness is truth.
It follows the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
Zero external work is required.
But falsity would be deciding that you want that buoyant beach ball to exist at the bottom of the lake, so you physically push it underwater.
Oh, that's a perfect visual.
Right, because the natural gradient of the universe dictates that the ball should be on the surface. It takes continuous, exhausting physical effort to hold it down against the water pressure. Your muscles are burning, you are sweating, you are literally burning calories.
And if you slip for even a second,
The ball rockets back to the surface.
the burning in your muscles and the calories you're expending, that is the thermodynamics of falsity. In Rizzari's equations, that exertion generates what he calls an entropic debt.
An entropic debt.
Mathematically represented as delta S sub det is greater than 0. The delta S stands for a change in entropy. Falsity is not merely a conceptual lie. Falsity is the literal, physical thermodynamic tax required to keep an unnatural construct submerged.
This completely reframes the concept of a lie. If an individual is lying to themselves or others about who they are experiencing psychological exhaustion because their brain is literally burning extra glucose to maintain a complex, false neurological narrative against the natural state of facts.
It is physically exhausting, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, we can scale that up to entire societies.
Okay, let's do that.
Imagine a massive, overly bureaucratic institution or a financial system built on a fundamentally flawed premise.
Like a Ponzi scheme.
A Ponzi scheme is a perfect thermodynamic example of falsity. It is a severe topological defect. It requires a massive, constant injection of new energy, new investors, new money, constant marketing, continuous administrative labor.
All of that is the W in greater than 0.
Exactly. Just to avoid natural collapse, the system is generating massive amounts of heat and waste. It is accumulating an enormous entropic debt.
And the universe hates entropic debt.
It cannot sustain it. Eventually, the external energy required to maintain the falsity outpaces the available resources. The work input just cannot meet the demand.
And then what?
When that happens, the system doesn't just gently correct itself. The accumulated tension snaps. The beach ball violently explodes to the surface. The Ponzi scheme collapses in spectacular fashion because the universe's relational tissue forcefully, violently reasserts its natural baseline.
That is just incredible. It implies that the flow of time, cosmic evolution, and what humans call justice or ethics are fundamentally the exact same mechanism.
They really are.
They're all just the universe trying to heal its own discrepancies. When we tell the truth, when we align our actions with reality and dismantle false constructs, we are literally reducing the entropic friction of the cosmos. We are allowing our local pocket of the universe to relax.
We stop pumping artificial energy into the parasitic superstructure. It's a profound unification of physics and philosophy. Truth is efficiency. Falsity is a parasite that drains the thermodynamic resources of its environment to sustain the unsustainable.
So what does this all mean? Let's synthesize this deep dive into Maurizio Rizzari's Relational Coherence Theory. Our standard baseline assumption about reality is entirely backward.
Completely.
Solid matter, heat, and linear time are not the normal state of the cosmos. The true foundational baseline of the universe is a flawless, timeless, 8-dimensional void at absolute 0.
Right.
A state of perfect mathematical symmetry where everything is in total relational balance.
And the physical reality you and I navigate every day is essentially a cascading waterfall of glitches. It is a metastable zone of topological defects that began when the hydrogen atom, the first stable asymmetry, caught against that perfect void and initiated the complex phase transition into 3-dimensional matter.
We are walking anomalies inside a cosmic glacier. And within this complex, glitchy manifestation of reality, truth is not a moral invention.
No, not raw.
Truth is the physical, thermodynamic baseline of efficiency. It is the natural, effortless relaxation of the universe trying to smooth out its own wrinkles and return to harmony.
While falsity is a highly expensive parasitic superstructure, it is the exhausting, unnatural act of pumping external energy into a lie just to keep it from naturally collapsing back into truth.
So well put.
Telling the truth is literally the universe's way of conserving energy, and maintaining a lie is a fiscal, thermodynamic burden.
It fundamentally changes how you look at every interaction, doesn't it? Like the effort it takes to maintain a facade versus the relief of just letting things be what they are.
It bridges the gap between how we behave and how the universe operates.
Which brings me to a final thought I want to leave you with, something to mull over long after this deep dive ends.
Well, ready.
If falsity isn't just a moral failing, but generates a literal physical entropic debt that requires constant, exhausting energy to maintain, What happens when an entire society or a global system accumulates way too much of this energetic debt?
Hmm.
If the universe's fundamental underlying physical drive is to eventually forcefully relax back into the efficient truth of the void, is the collapse of highly false human systems not just a moral inevitability, but a strict thermodynamic certainty?
Yeah.
Can you feel the tension of the beach ball under the water just waiting to explode to the surface? Keep an eye on the glitches, everyone.